Yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy Neo Starling, and I am back here with another episode review of The Last of Us, episode 4, available on HBO Max. So, it just finished. Today is Sunday. It is now 10:14 p.m., and the episode was pretty short. Honestly, it wasn't even an hour long. I would say it was about maybe 45 minutes, give or take. Not too long, but we got the gist of what we needed here, essentially, right? Now, this one wasn't as controversial as episode 3, which I'm glad, because maybe people on the internet will calm down. With with that said, we pretty much start off with them driving. You know, their next destination is they're going to meet up with Tommy, or they're trying to find out where he's located, because apparently he's separated from the Firefly. So now Joel believes that he is in trouble. Ellie does ask him for a more of a background, so you sort of get more of an expedition dump on who Tommy is based off of what Joel tells Ellie. He's this dreamer, he's this joiner, he's somebody that wants to like save the world. So he joined the military at a young age, right after high school, and you know, basically that's just like the type of dude that he's been, right? Now, they actually did this pretty funny joke from the game itself, where Ellie finds Bill's stash of porn, and they repeat the same lines for the game, almost verbatim. They slightly changed them, but not by much. I thought that was a cool little Easter egg. Why the heck not, right? Just throw it in there for all the fans of the game. And it was just funny. It was a funny line in general, so I'm glad they kept it. So as they're driving, they have to stop gradually because the car keeps running out of gas. So Joel has to keep like siphoning gasoline from these other vehicles. And, you know, Elliot is asking him questions. They start kind of forming more of a bond in this episode, which I really appreciated, because Joel wasn't such a hard ass on her this time. He was kind of just like, all right, let me just answer her questions. Ellie finds this book of jokes, which is actually true to the game as well. She does the same thing. There's particular moments in the game where there'll be dialogue points where you can kind of just stop and talk to Ellie, and she'll pull out the book and tell you jokes, which I really thought that was kind of cool. Again, a good little way to inject something from the game without it being too crazy or changing it too much. Now, this time we're actually sort of introduced to this group of revolutionary resistance fighters, right? They're the Hunters. And they were in the game as well, but they were just kind of just dudes. They were just people that were running around looking for you, trying to kill you. Once more, like I explained in my previous review, when you're playing a video game, right, you have story beats, and then in between they pad it out with action sequences. That's why you get all these crazy, cool action scenes, which they're not going to do in the game. I don't want you to think that's going to be a realistic thing. It's not. You'll get a couple of fights here and there, but Joel's not going to take out like a group of 20, 30, 40 people by himself with like Ellie chiming in here once in a while. That's just not going to happen, and that'd be kind of silly. I'll be really honest. I kind of like that Joel's a little more human. He's not as capable here. Now, granted, that's not to say that he's not, because he does fend off the attack with the assistance of Ellie, which I'll explain in a moment. Not having him fight such a large group of people is probably the best way to go about it, to be perfectly honest with you, because it just looks unrealistic. He's not a tank. He doesn't have a health bar. He can't just patch himself up every time something happens. This is more realistic. So they end up getting ambushed by this group of resistance people. Now, we don't know who they are yet, mind you. This is just sort of what ends up happening prior. And Joel and Ellie end up fending off the attack, which was kind of cool. But one thing that I didn't like, I felt that the game handled a little better, was Ellie's usage of the gun. So in the game, there's a scene where Joel's being drowned by one of these people, and Ellie grabs the gun and like shoots the guy basically and kills him. Like he's just dead. And, you know, Joel gets really upset at her. He goes, damn it, you're just a kid. You could have like shot me. You could have killed me. And, you know, created a little more conflict with them. Here, it wasn't as bad. One of the guys almost gets the better of Joel. Not in a water sequence where he's like drowning him, but rather he's just choking him out with a shotgun. And Ellie like shoots the guy in the foot, which I don't know if it was on the foot or on the side. They didn't really show it, because they showed Bella Ramsey shooting him like off camera, which I thought was funny. I guess they didn't want to show a, you know, like a child, you know, branding a gun and actually shooting somebody that you can physically see. That's probably what that was about. But Joel ends up taking advantage of the opportunity she gave him, and, you know, he basically finishes the dude off after he begged for his life. Ellie is visibly distraught, but not for long. She kind of shakes it off pretty quickly, and Joel didn't really give her too much of a headache about this one, to be honest, the way he did before. He actually apologized to her, and he empathized, indicating that she's a child and she shouldn't have to go through something like that, which I thought was nice. You know, once more, you're humanizing Joel's character. You're not making him a complete asshole the entire time, even though that's how he is in the game. But once more, you got to take some creative liberties when you're doing this. So I was actually completely okay with that. Once more, I just thought the scene from the game was a little more impactful, so I would have preferred if they did something similar to that, but you can't really complain. It was effective either way based off of the story that they were trying to get across, because the gun becomes a theme. Then later on, he actually shows her how to hold the gun, how to point it so that nobody snatches it from her. And, they kind of share a little nice moment there, you know what I mean? Which I thought was cool. Ellie has now bonded a little more with Joel. She trusts him a little more. This episode really showed how capable he is and how much more she sees that he's valuable and that he really does care, even if he doesn't want to say that he cares. So she's sort of like warming up to him more in the sense that she's not like back talking him as much. Now, throughout the episode, they're hiding because this group that I mentioned earlier, these revolutionaries that took down an entire QZ, now they're going to be searching for them. And this is sort of what happens in the game once more. But before, like I said, they were just random dudes. They weren't people that had like an actual face. They didn't have an identity. And now that you have a television show, you do have the opportunity to give these people an identity, which is great. This is sort of what you want to do. I don't think the episode was perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I'll be honest. I kind of think the pacing was a little all over the place. But it wasn't bad. Like I said, it was an episode. Their leader, which her name is Kathleen, I believe. I feel really bad for saying this, but I didn't take her seriously as a threat at all, even though she is the leader of this particular group. And she has this dude, I forgot what his name was, and he's like her right hand. He's the one that helps her out with everything. She ends up killing this doctor because she was looking for some people, and the doctor didn't want to give her any info. She doesn't kill him right away, but she kills him later in a spurt of anger. Which you also kind of see off camera as well. She points the gun and shoots him, but you don't physically see him getting shot by her, which I thought was really interesting. So, I just didn't, I didn't really find her character very intimidating. She kind of just seemed like a soccer mom to me. She seemed like some lady that like, I don't know. Let me not speak illy of her. I want to see what her performance will be like later on. I'm just saying realistically, like if I saw that lady in the street, I wouldn't think she's the leader of this like revolutionary group that took down a QZ. She just looks like a lady, like a regular lady, but apparently she's scary. So we're going to see how that turns out. They end up finding this huge capsized like hole in the ground that it was moving around. So I'm sure something's going to go down there. There's probably a bunch of infected down there. One thing I didn't like is this is kind of a lapse on her leadership, where the guy, her right hand, basically wants to tell the people what's going on. And she's like, no, we'll tell them later. It's okay. We want to prioritize looking for these two random people first. And mind you, the two random people that they're searching for aren't even Joel and Ellie. They're searching for two other characters from the game that get introduced at the end of the episode, but they're going to become a little more prominent later on in the fifth episode. So it kind of all culminates with them climbing up this 46 floor building. They're trying to get to like the very top of the building so they can have a higher vantage point, and they end up resting in one of the offices, which I thought was pretty cool, how Joel took like broken glass and sprayed it all around the room so that he doesn't get ambushed in the middle of the night, because he would hear people stepping on the glass, which is funny because that totally ends up not happening. But Ellie tells him a joke about diarrhea, and he tries not to laugh. He turns around sort of just so that he can avoid it, and he tells her that it was stupid, but he just ended up cracking up. And honestly, that was very heartwarming. That made me smile because, again, it's just one of those moments where me being someone that played the game and I see the love that Joel actually begins to develop for Ellie later on. It was really heartwarming just to sort of see him be a human being for a change, and he freely let himself laugh, which I thought was cool. But then he gets a gun pointed at him at the end of the episode, and that's with these two characters that we're going to introduce in the next episode. I'm not going to talk about them heavily now because I want them to develop them a little bit before I have opinions on them. I know who these people are in the game already, and like I said, they're going to play a pivotal role for a good chunk of the story. So let's see how long they keep them in the show. But with that said, yeah, that was the episode review for The Last of Us episode 4. Once more, like I said, it was a show. It wasn't anything too crazy. Like I said, it didn't hold the weight that episode 3 held. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, anyone could say whatever they want. I personally really liked episode 3 a lot, and I thought it was more of a compelling watch than episode 4. This one was a lot shorter and was sort of straight to the point. Like I said, it had some pacing issues, but outside of that, it was pretty decent. It was a good watch. Now, I look forward to watching the next one the following week. If you guys like this review, you know the deal. Please feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, do the damn thing, help a brother out. I will be reviewing the rest of the series. And yeah, with that said, you're all awesome, and don't ever let anyone tell you different. Signing off.